welcome to another episode of the Alexys Scott Studio Podcast. I am your host, Alexys Scott, and the title of this episode is Finding Your Way, Part 2, Growing Authenticity. Last week, I started talking about the creative journey and how I have grown through that very deep and personal work. This week, I want to dive deeper into the topic and look more at authenticity and my favorite authentic creators. When I think about authenticity, I think about being real at your core and establishing some continuity with how you show up, how you interact, and all that jazz. Like, who are you for real? Not just maybe who you were told to be, who you were raised to be, or what society expects you to be, but how you define yourself. This makes me think about episode 7 titled I Am of Lovecraft Country, when Hippolyta is cast into the multiverse and she encounters this godlike being that then tells her to name herself. Not to get too deep into the series, but whatever or whoever Hippolyta names herself is who she becomes. She goes from this beloved wife and mother to dancing on stage with Josephine Baker, even to being a warrior in a African tribe, and then an intergalactic explorer. She experiences all these different versions of herself and then goes back to her timeline and interacting with her people who know her, a completely changed woman. When she begins to reveal her authentic self, what she discovered on that journey, um, she reveals this to the people who've known her for years, and it's shocking to them. It's kind of like they notice something different, but they can't really put their finger on it. But honestly, everyone is better in response to the change that she made to be more authentic. And instead of continuing to make herself smaller, she walks in who she really is. I love this story because it shows how difficult that journey is, but also how instant the benefits are. The self confidence, the self expression starts to show up and flow so effortlessly. As I started to think about the different parts of myself and who they were without people watching, I began to see myself in a new light and with so much clarity. The flip side of all the good stuff is that authenticity can be a very vulnerable place as well. You are now exposing the things you built walls to cover. Hopefully, though, you can begin to slowly recognize and realize that your authentic self is necessary for your creative growth. Now, let's take a look at some of my favorite authentic creators. First on the list is Andre 3000. I love Andre just as much as the next person. From his rhymes to his fashion, he has always shown up in ways that weren't always traditional, trendy, or common. He's an out of the box kind of guy, and I think that is why a lot of us have been attracted to him and his work for years. Recently, though, some people were ready to throw my boy away and not listen to his new album after we found out that there was going to be no bars. I think for me, I was shocked but far from disappointed. I think on the journey of authentic creativity, it is important to acknowledge the same journey in others as well. I mean, this was a highly anticipated album, and to some it fell short, but I didn't see it that way because it takes a lot to step outside of the norm or what people may want in order to give what you have. In anticipation for Andre 3000's new album, I tweeted, whether Andre 3000's album is a fan favorite or not, it is a testament to true and authentic creativity. It takes courage to step out and do something outside of the box and share it with the world. True creativity is about the creative and not the consumer. What I mean by this is that Andre doesn't need y'all to buy his album or his merch. I mean, maybe he does because, like, I don't know his financials, but let's be real. This man doesn't need us to like what he puts out or like our approval or disapproval. And that shouldn't halt his creative process. This album was about his journey to another level of creativity, and that's what makes it authentic. Also, I've listened to the album plenty of times, probably like five or six. Let me not do too much. But probably like five or six times all the way through, and I really enjoyed it. I think it's good music to just listen and vibe to, or like to play in the background. Um, I had to look up what the genre was like called, and it is ambient new age spiritual jazz. That's a long name, but that's what y'all are getting right now. That's the Andre. You're not getting hip hop Andre. You're getting ambient new age spiritual Andre, and I'm I'm rocking with it. I liked it. I listened to it while I was sketching, while I was writing, and it's really easy to like enjoy and like go in and out of without feeling like you missed something or you need to like go back and listen versus like a hip hop album you have to really listen to the verses, the lyrics, like really get the vibe from the words. But with this new album, it was an easy listen, I think. Um, Whether you like New Blue Sun or not, Andre is authentic. Toni Morrison is my next call out because she was very pure and authentic in her creative approach. She was consistently creating only what she had to give. I love this quote by Miss Morrison that says, navigating a white male world was not threatening. It wasn't even interesting. I was more interesting than they were. I knew more than they did, and I wasn't afraid to show it. Like, to even say something like that, you have to be so deep in your bag that you're just really calling it like it is, being truly authentic in how you feel and then expressing that. She was authentic in her creativity and her professional life, and she was in tune with her creativity. And like I said, she didn't have any trouble communicating that. Another quote from Miss Morrison says, I really call myself now a writer because I only write when I can't not do it. That is such a deep quote because she's recognizing that the creativity wasn't just something that she wanted to do. It's something that she had to do. And it was something that she wasn't able to stop herself from doing. Um, there's an interview and she's talking about her first book, which is The Bluest Eye. I think I said that right. The Bluest Eye. And she is saying that she didn't necessarily want to publish that. That wasn't necessarily the goal when she started writing the book. She wrote the book because she wanted to read it herself. And I was like, that's so deep because she saw a need in the world and not necessarily on a large scale, but on a personal like stage of like, I want this, so I'm going to make it for myself. And then she did it. She said it took her 5 years, and through that 5 years, she wrote the book, read the book, went back, made changes, added things, took things out, and wrote it again, and then read it again, and then wrote it again, until she came to a place where she really liked the book. And that's what she ended up publishing. But that wasn't necessarily the goal to start with. Some of my favorite authentic creators, other than the ones that I just listed, creators and doers are Kobe Bryant, Nina Simone, Viola Davis, Bell Hooks, and Basquiat. And there's so much more. I could honestly go on for days talking about these people and how they are so authentic in the way that they show up, the way that they do their craft. But that's all the time that we have. I like to think of authenticity from a come as you are perspective. Creativity is not a one size fits all kind of thing. So you're going to have to make room for yourself. So it's probably best for you to show up as who you are, and go from there instead of trying to fit in where there may not be space for you in the first place. That's all the time that we have for today. As always, thank you for listening, liking, and subscribing to the Alexis Scott Studio podcast. Make sure that you follow the studio on Instagram and TikTok at alexisscott.studio. You're amazing, and it makes me extremely happy to share these episodes and encourage you to be your best creative self. Until next time, peace.